All right, well, you got questions, I got answers. My name's Greg, and you're watching How to Play Paintball. So the reason why I'm outside doing this is that room that we have for my recording and all of that, I'm still doing some adjustments to. So I just thought I would come outside. Usually it's not very echoey, if that's even a word. But I had asked you guys, because we haven't done a Q&A in a little while, so I had asked for some questions. So I grabbed a handful of those questions, going to go through and answer them. If this is something that you guys enjoy, you can go ahead and put a comment down in the comment section below of maybe another question that you might have. And I guess if we have enough, then I'm more than happy to do another one in a future video. But first things first, thank you to my Patreon for those that are supporting me through that. And also a thank you to all of my subscribers. If you're not subscribed, make sure that you are clicking that subscribe button, so that way every Monday and every other time that I put up a video, you'll be able to be one of the first ones to view it. I know coming up there is going to be a giveaway, so you really want to make sure that you are subscribed, and even if you click that bell button, so that way you know whenever a new video is posted. So first question is from Bob Howe. So should NXL change the rate of fire or get rid of ramping? Selfishly, I would love for it to go back to 13 or 15 balls per second, just because it was fun shooting that much. I think it would actually help with even getting shots off the break and just laning in general, just because the gaps between each ball is going to be shorter because there is more paint in the air. That being said, I think 10 balls per second is pretty good. It's not very intimidating to listen to. It sounds kind of quick, but if you hear 15 balls per second, I honestly don't even really know how we moved at all at 15 balls per second. But I think 10 balls per second is fine. I don't think they should get rid of ramping, though. And my reasoning behind that is, for those that have played in semi-auto, there's way too many cheater modes, and people are just getting better and better at cheating. That's what happens in paintball. People are going to find a way to cheat in every sport. There's always going to be a way that people try to get that extra little bit of an edge. With ramping, basically the idea is, okay, everyone can have this, but it's capped at this many balls per second. When you do that, it just levels the playing field back out. I do still think that, walking the trigger is an important thing to be able to do, because you need to be able to get that your marker into ramping faster. And that way you can get it so that way you don't have a huge gap between those first couple balls, and then once it gets ramping, then it's more consistent. You want it to be as short of a gap as possible. So you still do need to work on walking the trigger. It's just not as important as back in like the NPPL days, where you could be shooting 17 balls per second or whatever it was. But there's just way too many cheater modes, and it's very hard to regulate that. So I think ramping is really good to just to get rid of that issue. All right, so this next question is from PCB9917, and they ask, what are some at-home drills you can do at home with the quarantine? So I've actually posted some of those. I think a lot of what we can do now during quarantine is a lot of body weight exercises. And I think, honestly, just having those snap shooting, and even just kind of, I know the Russian Legion have been doing some videos on like Zoom, and it's just like a timing thing. So you could even have a little timer, work on your reactions. That's something that you don't need any paint for. You just have your whole setup. You set up like you're going to be leaning off the brake, and have a 10-second interval, 5-second interval, where it kind of beeps at 5 seconds, and then you kind of wait, because an issue that a lot of players have is they look at the clock and they look at the countdown, and sometimes it beeps at the 0, and then sometimes it's actually beeping at exactly 0, which I know sounds weird, but you got to think that there's the milliseconds as well. So you don't want to jump early because then you're going to get pulled, or you're going to have to run back, tag back up, and then go out and to not be eliminated as a player. So at least this way you can, just practice the waiting for the buzzer and then, pull up right when the buzzer happens. So there's that. I did a snap shooting drill recently that you can go ahead and do actually at home. And this is one that's done in a mirror, so it's again, you don't need any paint for it. So another one that you can do is even sliding drills. If you're able to at least get outside to a grassy area and run and do some diving drills, sliding, set up cones, have it where you're practicing getting right behind the cone and popping up. There's a lot of different variations, so just kind of think through, okay, what is it that I do in a game situation, and how can I replicate that at home without paint? Even like I went and bought a weight vest. So if you did, running with that, it's just going to help simulate having, weight in your pack. If you don't have money for a weight vest and you still have pods with you, you can just fill your pods with like sand and rocks, and that'll actually be like a little miniature weight vest. The only downside with doing that is, since that is heavier than a pot of paint, what you're doing accidentally is actually maybe stretching out your pack. That is one downside of doing that kind of like prison workout. But that is going to be one that's good, because then you're adding a little bit more weight, making it more challenging, but also you still have that resistance of your pack. So yeah, I have a lot of drills on this channel. I know even if you do, what is it, Unger Games, so that's Unger from Seattle Thunder. On his Instagram, he has some cool drills that I actually kind of want to steal. Just the grass in my backyard is a little bit squishy. I don't know how else to describe it. So if I try to dive and slide, I kind of dig in instead of sliding. So it's not as dense and not going to be as good for sliding. So yeah, just work with what you have. But yeah, he has some good ones. That's one thing with right now with the quarantine is a lot of the pro players are giving out a lot of different advice. Okay, next question is from Justin Lee _19. So when you shoot someone and they play on and run to bunker you, what are you aiming for? Honestly, if I've shot them and they're still coming at me, I don't know if I'm necessarily aiming for anything like you said in the face, neck, or other areas. I think I'm just continuing to shoot, or I guess actually if let's say it's a tournament and I come out and I shoot the person trying to come bunker me and they're still coming at me, I might actually just tuck in, because if I don't have a hit on me and they're still running, hopefully there's a ref right there. So if I'm sitting out and shooting and they end up shooting me because I'm just kind of getting angry or something, or frustrated because they've continued playing on, the ref might not see that I didn't get hit. So if anything, I would shoot the person and want to go into my bunker, so that way when the ref looks at me and sees that I don't have a hit on me and this guy is running with a hit, okay, penalty for this person, you're clean. I mean, other instances, if it's like a practice or the person is further down the field or, across the field or something, and they continue to run and I'm shooting as I'm going and I see that it's hitting them but they keep going, I'm just going to keep shooting and shooting and shooting until eventually they stop or kind of cower or something like that. But yeah, that, I guess, I don't really have a spot that I aim for. I guess if I had to pick, it'd probably be more the neck, just because there's padding in that region down there. But the neck is very open and usually bare skin, so that's going to make them kind of tense up a little bit more. Okay, next question's from Alexander Shank 123006, and they ask, what's your favorite pro team and what paintball brand you're not sponsored but you want to be sponsored by? So the first one, I'm going to kind of break your question up. So coming up in paintball, a team that I really liked was Joy Division, and literally the only reason was because they had leopard print stuff. So that's why the pack that I have is the leopard print, because it's kind of like a little callback, a little homage to one of my first favorite pro teams. Other than that, I think the Iron Men was one that I had. Legacy was another one. I don't know if I really had like one specific pro team that I was like, this is my favorite. Now, of course, the best team is the ML Kings. That goes without saying. But I think it's cool being able, like at least in pro, being able to play against guys I look up to, like coming up in paintball and being able to now play against Ryan Greenspan and Tyler Harmon. Pretty crazy to be playing against them. It was still the craziest thing to me. My first pro World Cup when Matty Marshall and I think even it was Chris Lasoya. This wasn't at World Cup, but Matty Marshall had said, "Hey, you played good this weekend." And it was just kind of weird because I'm like, I used to watch you in videos. And then even with Chris Lasoya, who now works for Push, but he had been a player that I had kind of grown up watching, and for him to be like, "Hey, you're a good player," and all that, like, it was just kind of weird. I can't remember exactly what he had said, but it was still kind of like, why do you even know who I am? So it's just cool now being at that level. So as for your second part of your question, my paintball sponsors are great. So if I had to pick one outside of the paintball industry, I think it'd be really cool to have like a Red Bull or Coca-Cola or something like that, where just someone that's outside of paintball. I know Under Armour has kind of come in a little bit before, and there's some others that have come in like that, but I think really seeing them have even like a booth, like if you guys remember back in the day, like Intel sponsored Dynasty, and they had a big Intel booth at the event, and it was it's cool to see that stuff. So it'd be cool to see that come back, to have a Nike booth, or have them throwing out products into the grandstands, and even seeing like I said, Red Bull or Monster, some of these other outside companies that are involved in action sports coming in. I think it'd be really cool to have a sponsor like that. But yeah, my paintball sponsors are awesome. Okay, and the last question that we have is Jesse Will. So how long have you been playing paintball, and what's your favorite position to play on the field? So overall, I think I've been playing paintball for something like 17 years. I got started with my church, actually. My dad kind of made me go. I was a little bit nervous at first. I had to have been 12 or 13, something like that. And there was an event that the church was putting on, and we went to a local field, and I was nervous about getting shot and everything, and my dad said, "No, I'm paying for it, you're gonna go." So I don't know what it was that hooked me, but I've been playing ever since. Competitively, I want to say I've been like serious about like the competitive side of paintball for, it's got to be at least 10 to 13 years or something like that, where I haven't just been playing just for fun, but rather, of course paintball is still fun, but there's the goal of, okay, I want to win this tournament and stuff like that. My favorite position, I've actually started to really like the center. So that's a position that I'm kind of not used to playing, but I've started playing more with the Kings, and I like it. I like having a position, even if it was, I'm not necessarily a snake player. I don't really enjoy going into the snake. Usually I was more of a Dorito player, but honestly I like positions that I can go in and just kind of do damage. I mean, it's fun to go and bunker people. So playing the center is really fun with that, because you a lot of times have to go through, you have to get sneaky. But I don't know, I kind of like just those positions that you kind of go up and just punch the guy in the nose, and it's fun to go through like that. Yeah, so it's hard to say my favorite position, because I don't know, like I like to be able to go and do things. So I guess even as a back player, like I've played more of a back position, and I like that too, because then you have to close games. So like every position has its thing that I like about it. But like I said, with the Kings, I've started playing more the center role, and still playing the Dorito side, but kind of taking over that center position, and that's one that has been pretty fun to do. All right, guys, so that is the video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to those that sent questions. If somehow I missed your question, I apologize, and thank you to, again, to all those that sent in the questions. So be on the lookout for new videos. Again, if you haven't liked and subscribed, make sure that you go ahead and do that. Thank you again to my Patreon, and thank you to all of you that have been subscribed since day one, or even today is your first video. Thank you for watching, and again, make sure that you like and subscribe, and I will see you in the future videos. But as always, remember, watch, learn, win. Thanks.